The only good thing I can say about this anime is its Shikanoko dance that went viral on the internet. Because I dislike this anime for one simple reason. I just hate it when Nokotan tries to accuse the yellow-haired girl of her still being a gangster. Like, the yellow-haired girl, which I forgot the name of, she's just throwing away her evil past so that she can start a good one. And I bet that it isn't just me that has this opinion, I bet it's everyone else. I think it's fair to place OPM Season 2 as mid, since this season is disliked for having a rushed pacing and not that good animation. But for my reason for why I find this as mid is not those, it's completely different. The reason for why I don't like One Punch Man Season 2 is what made me drop One Punch Man for the very first time, even after I caught up to the anime. It's episode 24. Because when all those brats bullied Garo when he was a kid, I just couldn't stand it that I literally yelled at the screen when it was happening. Now I know it's just part of the story, I know that. But what makes it worse is that Garo doesn't get revenge like killing the kids who bullied him, or massacre the entire school. Because Garo's a villain anyway and there's stuff to do. But because Garo's backstory was put in the last episode of this season, just leaves off with the cliffhanger of Garo still being kidnapped, and because OPM doesn't have kind characters like Naruto or Tanjiro, there's literally no hope for Garo trying to overcome his backstory. And because One Punch Man started off as action comedy, it changed into a dark side not very well. Well, maybe when One Punch Man Season 3 comes out next year. Who knows, maybe I might pick up the anime again after dropping it, since I do hear that the manga has really great illustration, and there's still more characters to expand on. Hell, maybe Garo's backstory can expand more, with a fully trained Garo actually getting revenge to all the people who hurt him. But I'm more of an anime watcher than a manga reader, so we'll just have to wait and hope. Now, into the good territory. I really like the message that Go-Go Loser Ranger is trying to tell its audience, by showing a society where the villains are actually slaves to the heroes, and you live only to entertain everyone, with the villains always losing, and all of the audience is thinking that it's not a play. And the fact that this anime is TV PG really shows that kids are also free to watch this, so that they won't always be stranded with heroes always have to win and villains always have to lose. Yep, this is cash grab. But even so, it's a typical trilogy movie that recent anime are taking a trend on. They actually didn't bother to learn from their mistake of not adding the end credits in the last episode of the previous arc, so that it can dive into the arc that's coming soon better. Thank goodness they did this, because if they didn't, then I bet a lot of people watching would have thought that the movie is already over, and they would just leave the movie theater. It's really something that shows that Demon Slayer just can't downfall. It's what got way more people in North America to get into anime. A concept of an isekai anime not being a magical fantasy, but a magic war zone. Fantastic, and I also like how the main character is also an anti-hero, wanting to seek revenge on God. And because of it, the serious and injustice tone fits in very well. This is by far the best Terminator content that's existed since the second movie. How it goes outside of the Connor family, and seeing the Judgment Day on Japan's side. It's also really surprising that this anime doesn't have any opening and ending themes like other animes always have, showing that Terminator Zero is meant to be for Western fans. And even though I want to place this anime higher, I won't. Because I just hate Malcolm's oldest son. Because he's a dickhead. But despite that bad part, it's still a good anime. I remember my mom recommended me this anime, and with the slice of life setting, I just love how a lone child gets help from adults on living in an apartment building, and going to kindergarten. And I've only watched up to episode 2, but I definitely think that somewhere in the anime there's gonna be something emotional and will make me cry. Really showing that Kotaro lives alone, has a big heart. And I really want to place this anime higher, but maybe after I finish my number 1 favorite anime. And the reason is completely not Kotaro's fault, but it's because he shares the same name as the worst MHA character! The first big hit anime of 2024. Meshing a Dungeons & Dragon world with cooking is really great, as my dad mentions that food is also important in Baldur's Gate. But there's some comedic parts that are personally not for me, sorry. The other first big hit anime of 2024. How I got spoiled on the internet that Jinwoo becomes OP, that he might solo Goku. And so far, maybe it can be called an isekai anime, as there are portals to get from Earth to isekai anyway. But I really like the concept of someone who used to be the weakest wanting to become the strongest. The only problem I have with the anime is that it's sexist. Because it takes place in Korea, it has those stereotypes of women always being the most frightened. But overall, still a good anime, because I still want to see Jinwoo become OP. Now here we go, folks, into the peak territory, starting with the Fable. I like the concept of a Yakuza comedy anime, although I don't get why the comedic parts are seen as more realistic, but it is what it is. And I think my mom would enjoy it as well, and maybe she might understand the comedy, and if she does, maybe I can as well. A futuristic world which somehow doesn't have hover cars, with a police unit famous for its Dominator guns. And it shows realism of how even the innocent people can become corrupt in society, showing that people can relate to this in real life, showing great morals. My mom also loves this anime as it has those old generation anime vibes. And despite the heavy topics that I kind of find hard to watch through, I still don't give up on trying to watch this anime. An empty person who wants to die, who unexpectedly finds a new life on fishing as a hobby. It shows really great skills for what you need to go fishing, and shows a moral that you should find something fun to do in life. And this anime really pulled that moral off great as an anime original. And it just really shows how underrated slice of life anime are. They need more credit. Without saying any spoilers, this is peak shonen mystery and thriller. Although I only plan to watch Season 1 because I hear bad reviews about Season 2. When the MC reincarnates from a bad life to a good life. And because the anime has a slow, easy pacing, and no anime opening sequences, people can easily digest the slow life of Rudeus, living his life from a pervert toddler to a grown teenager. I really love how there's a One Piece OVA that expands on Zoro's grandfather's backstory, and showing the pattern of never meet your heroes. However, this One Piece OVA won't be as great as the one I am ranking higher. Out of all the anime I watched in 2023, the Demon Slayer Swordsmith's Village arc was at the number 1, but I'm placing the Hashira training arc lower. Don't get me wrong, this arc is still peak because it still has great animation and character development, just not as great as the previous arc. And the last episode was the great Mugen Castle animation and Muzan's backward moonwalk. It just really sets up the Infinity Castle arc really well. And it is still to this day my second favorite anime of all time, Demon Slayer. This is my opinion, but I think Core 1 is better than Core 2 in Freerun. I just don't like that weird face that Freerun makes when someone gets bullied. That's such a bad moral. Although I kinda do like how Farron is more lovable in this core. It shows more of the master and student part of Freerun and Farron. And as always, it has great animation, with the style being like Mappa, since Madhouse is the father of Mappa. And I like how Core 2 is entirely one story arc, showing how it balances with Core 1, which has slow life, with Freerun and the trio going on the journey, and Core 2 being part of something big for Farron to become a public mage. Season 1 of Blue Lock was really great. When I watched the first episode and second episode, I really thought that it was a sports anime that was better than Haikyuu, because it's a battle royale kind of sports anime, where all the sides are neutral except for these two ass dickheads. And at the same time, it really shows what the worst humans can do, like betray their members or crushing other people's dreams so that you can achieve yours. And because of this, I'm really excited for Blue Lock Season 2, despite the first half of the season being PowerPoint. I think I find it unfair to put in Phantom Blood because when I watched episode 1, it was back in 2021. But back then, as a typical person who didn't know JoJo, I dropped it because I didn't like the first episode. Then in 2023, I picked it up again, but this time from part 3, but then I realized that I had some parts were missing, so I had to watch part 2 to watch that. And after I finished part 2 in 2024, that's where I decided I needed to watch part 1 again from episode 1. And I basically finished the story arc in just 2 days. Please don't kill me for this, JoJo fans. I didn't know back then. But that aside, Phantom Blood was still great. I even love the MC, and I think he's very underrated. Because it's definitely the story arc that started the entire JoJo series. The animation, the comedy, the balls, the romance, the opening intro, GG, episode 7, and most of all, the concept of mashing yokai and specters versus aliens is just really great. This is unrelated, but I used to watch this anime called Yokai Watch Jam Yokai Academy Y Close Encounters with the Unkind, which is a spin-off series of Yokai Watch. And that anime original series also had a specter versus alien dynamic in it, although it didn't work out well because Yokai Watch is known for their yokais, not specters and aliens. But because Dandadan is completely new, it mashes in that element very well. Definitely does feel like a better copy of Yokai Academy Y. A school setting, characters with loose bolts, specters versus aliens, and a very cool yokai transformation. But even out of all of the masterpiece elements I mentioned that make Dandadan great, Ira is preventing it from being in top tier. Say what you want, but I hate Ira, thinking that she's a god complex and being a ass. But even though her best moment was in the best episode in the series, she resets herself in the very next episode. Like, why? Why? I mean, maybe the mangaka is making the long way around to perfectly characterize Ira, like how Horikoshi did with Bakugo and MHA. But I think that kind of character pattern doesn't work with Dandadan because Dandadan keeps things fast for the audience to enjoy. Speaking of Ira, because of Ira, I started to dislike Seiko at episode 8.
What did he say?
Simply because she sided with Ira on saying that Momo is a demon. Again, what is it with these young-looking grannies having unlikable parts in their personas? Spoiler warning for Dandadan season finale. Skip to this time to avoid spoilers. And there's also one thing that fell off about season 1 of Dandadan, and it's at the cliffhanger at the end of the season. I mean, the discovery that Okaron and Gigi found was great, but in the second cliffhanger leaves with Ayase about to be essayed by these strange people. So overall, peak anime, but the season ended off bad. Core 2 of Apothecary is just as great as Core 1. And even Mao Mao can still be likable. Although, I didn't like the spectacle character's backstory in episode 23. Asta's pretty loud, but I really love how he uses muscles and anti-magic to show his strengths of never giving up on fights. And I just really love how the Black Bulls accept anyone who's been rejected. But I think Asta and Yuno have the weakest rivalry out of all shonen. I love how episode Nagi shows the first half of the season of Blue Lock, but from Nagi's perspective. And I guess that's all I can say that makes this movie peak. The girl power in Love Live is great. And I really love Tosaka Honoka, the main character. She can act stupid sometimes, but she's very kind and wants to make friends. And because it's an idol anime that's TV PG, I really love the songs that Muse performs. We are finally entering GOAT territory. A JoJo spin-off series focusing on the side character Rohan Kishibe. And the scary stories that Kishibe tells, ooh, it did give me goosebumps. Funny nitpick, I love how Josuke looks away from the camera when he makes a cameo. Really shows how much Kishibe and Josuke hate each other. Season 6 needed an OVA after the season ended, because of the dark past that Season 6 went to, showing a positive slice of life in Class 1A. With all of the Class 1A students in a card game. The stories of 2 jazz talents and 1 newcomer becoming Japan's #1 jazz band. Awesome! The soundtrack and music made by Jazz in this film is by 2 jazz artists I don't know, and Hiromi! My family as 3 love Hiromi Uehara's jazz piano songs, and it's really great to hear her soundtrack in an anime movie. And there's also lots of hidden Easter eggs of Western jazz. This movie was truly goated. Most shonen anime tend to have teenagers as main characters, but it's nice that Kaiju number 8 has an adult as a main character, showing what it's like to achieve a dream as an adult, and if you're around 30 years old, you can give advice to the younger people. And second, I love an anime where the enemies are kaijus, based off of Godzilla, and the kaiju series is from Western culture. And so far my favorite character in Kaiju number 8 is Kikoru Shinomiya. She starts off unlikable, yes, but as the story progresses in the season, I love how she becomes very supportive for Kafka when she knew Kafka's identity, and how she has a heart of not letting anyone die. Oh, and funny nitpick, it's funny how Mina Ashiro's name is close to Mina Ashida's name from English perspectives. I don't even need to talk too much to explain how goated Gintama is. A samurai setting meshed with a future setting, the comedy, the parodies, and with the plot in between. I think my obsession with Shinigami animes is the #1 reason I love this anime, was the concept of people turning into weapons and there being weapon users. But the actual reason for why I love Soul Eater is because Tommy Heavenly 6 sings a much better opening than Gintama. Now, I do want to cover the top 25 anime I've watched in 2024, but without this video being any longer, I'll rank the top 25 in part 2. So, what do you think of the anime I've covered in this video, and what anime did you watch last year? Let me know in the comments below. I'll see you in part 2 of this video.